Yo, 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 what's good, everybody? I'm back again as promised for our seventh episode of the Player Chatter podcast. I hope everyone's had a great week. There's been some pretty exciting games happening this week. I believe game fives and sixes were played. Um, I believe there was a game seven. Maybe that was last week. I'm tripping, or maybe that was last round, and my memory is just confused. But without further ado, today we're going to be talking about the Miami Heat as they just finished off the New York Knicks and their potential matchups for the Eastern Conference Finals. Um, the way I see it, Philly has the potential to win that game, to win the games. That's what it is. Philly has the potential to win Game 7 today, but if they don't pull it together, then Boston is gonna sneak up on them just like they did last game. Boston was playing some pretty good defense, but their offense wasn't flowing the way they probably would have liked it. So we'll see what happens tonight with that. But first, congrats to the Miami Heat for making it back to the Eastern Conference Finals. I know all my South Florida fans are feeling great right now, me included, being one of them. It's pretty exciting to see Miami back up there, especially after being the eighth seed, having to struggle through the play-in and whatnot. But some of the takeaways I got from that game is Miami is great in clutch situations. People have probably figured that out by now. Not just Jimmy, but them as a team. Miami is just clutch in situations. They're clutch when they're in 4-on-3 situations. When Jimmy's being double teamed, they still play well. They're not uncomfortable. They're not unsettled, like the Knicks were when it was reciprocated, which is pretty fire if you ask me. Like, I don't know, man. I think Miami can go all the way. Either way it goes, whether they face the Sixers with slightly injured Embiid, or they face uh discombobulated to a sort for the Celtics. If they face them, I think either way we could pull it out. If being in a 7 game series. Now, of course, another good thing to notice about Miami is that they've been keeping up this high intensity basketball without the help of Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo, both of them being hurt, or Oladipo out for the season. Hero possibly making a return, granted that the Heat are able to make it to the finals, make it past the ECF. And as far as the next game goes, I want to give them major props to holding Brunson. It seems like if the Knicks didn't have Jalen Brunson, they didn't have an offense. Whatever the Knicks threw at them at Miami, they were able to throw back twice as hard, you know? And they really earned that series. It was pretty head to head, toe to toe. The 3-point shooting on both sides was horrendous. Both teams shooting 35 and below for the entirety of the series. So again, props to the Heat for making the most out of it. Props to them for making the most out of their free throw attempts as well, and for being able to not stop Jalen Brunson, but to contain him to a fault, I guess. Not He was able to go off on his own, but to get the rest of his teammates involved, it was kind of hard for him towards the end. He had to make a lot of split-second decisions that turned out in Miami's favor, especially in Game 6. Throughout the entirety of the series, it was pretty, man. Honestly, it was pretty nerve-wracking. I didn't watch all of them, but for the ones I did, I believe I watched games 1, 2, and definitely the sixth one, some of 5, and maybe 4. Actually, I guess I pretty much watched the entire series. I take that back. But heading into the Eastern Conference Finals, Miami has the time to rest. They got 4 days off. Thank goodness. Coming out of that last series, I'm going into this series with the Knicks. I believe they were a little more fatigued, and then beat up. And then Jimmy went down. I think it was Game 4 of that Milwaukee series. So that was kind of stressful and again nerve wracking. But I just hope they can do what they can do to keep up this level of play. Other than that, it comes down to, again, Boston and the Philly series. And I want to touch up on Boston more than I want to do Philly because I didn't take too many notes on Philadelphia. I kind of just assumed that they were just going to win Game Six at home. But since they did it, I guess like I said, my vote's on the Celtics right now. And here's what I got for them. First, I want to start with their bread and butter, Jason Tatum. Um, is he the superstar of that team? Yes. Again, they have Jaylen Brown. It's a 1A, 1B thing. They kind of flip back and forth. But now I'm gonna focus in on Tatum because he's the one that's getting talked about more. Outside of what happens in the offseason, whether they get rid of Tatum, they get rid of Brown, or keep them together. I vote to keep them together. I'm saying that now. I'm gonna state that now. Keep them together, yo. No need to split them up. At least not this year. The outcome of this year just does not need to be a factor in what happens in the Boston's offseason moves. But anyways, I saw something about, and this was on Twitter by the way. I don't remember who tweeted it or who said it, but I saw something about Tatum not having killer instinct. I think they compared him to that of Andrew Wiggins rather than MJ and Kobe. Before anything else, we gotta stop these damn MJ Kobe comparisons when it comes to killer instinct. Those weren't the only players in history to have a killer instinct. The Mamba mentality thing is it's like a nickname for killer instinct, and everyone wants to have it. Everyone wants to be like Kobe. Everyone wants to be like Mike. Yeah, but they had high work ethic, but they weren't the only ones to ever have it. If that makes sense. So just because Tatum starts his shooting off bad, like he did in this game six, I I believe he started 1 for 12 in the first two quarters, 1 for 13 maybe. But when it comes to quote unquote killer instinct, I mean he hit four threes in the fourth that ultimately got them that win. Yes, the team effort. The rest of the team picked up his slack in the first three quarters, not including, Tatum's rebound and assist numbers. But come on now. He had 16 in the fourth. We're gonna call that we're gonna act like that's not killer instinct? Are we really gonna sit here and say that Tatum is not a dog? But we can get to that. I wanna actually hear you guys' opinions on that. Please hit me up on Twitter about that or I'll tweet out some stuff. Or we can come back to it on another podcast, following game seven, whether they win or lose, we can talk about whether Tatum is one of those, whether he's one of the best players in the league or was one of the best players in the world, as he claimed following that game six in his interview. But when it came to game six, both teams allowed big runs in that first quarter. Boston started off hot as a team from the three. I believe they dominated the pace. Their extra pass, that driving kick proficiency that they have is really working for them. Philly had a tough time guarding it. And I feel like Boston was beating themselves for that first half, first and second quarter. They had the shots, like I said, the extra passes working for them. They had the looks, they had the space. They just couldn't hit. They were legitimately getting saved by their defensive play. Um, so yeah, Marcus Smart played really well. He definitely covered the offensive side of things as JB and Tatum were looking too well. Like I said, Tatum was doing little things outside of scoring, but they were looking well heading into that second half. And if I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I didn't get to watch much of the third. I kind of tuned back in during the fourth quarter. That's when I got to see those like 3 to 4 clutch threes from him in the final 3 minutes. So I don't really have too much of an analysis going here, but I just want to wrap that part up by saying, Philly, man, come on, bro. You guys were at home. You guys were at home court and you didn't pull through. Like, what kind of crap is that? And I get it, it doesn't happen that way all the time. Not every team can win every night, but sheesh, they had that game in the bag. They were up four with like 4 minutes left, and then for all of a sudden they're leaving Tatum open, bang, 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 and not reciprocating anything. I don't know. They just lost their grip at the last second, and it kind of sucks to see. It was hard to hear in the background with the announcers yelling, but geez, man, like I personally want Philly to come out of this series simply because I am going to be very irritated if I have to go on Twitter or I have to go on Instagram, or even if I have to talk to someone out here in the outside, and I have to hear, oh, Joel Embiid with his fake MVP because he couldn't make it out of the second round again. Like, shut up, bro. I literally just want Embiid to go to the ECF just so they can stop, just so in a casual's mind they can give him his flowers, which they still won't because he's the MVP. So if he doesn't win the ring or doesn't go to the finals, they're still gonna ridicule him. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. But golly, man, can you guys please just just come through once? Not for me, but for your fans and for the for the sake of your image. Come through. Like honestly, all they have to do is repeat their game 5 performance. Not saying that Embiid I'm not saying that Embiid needs to drop 40. I'm not even saying that I'm not even saying that James Harden needs to drop 40. I'm not saying that he needs to get 20 and 12. I'm not saying that Tobias needs to drop 30. I'm not saying Tyrese needs to drop 30. They need to be sound. They need to at least have a slightly above average game or an average game for that. Tobias cannot go into the game 7 with just 2 points. I'm sorry, but PJ Tucker cannot be outplaying you in that sense. Like he's probably been the most consistent player I've seen in this series for Philly, and I'm not throwing him under the bus. Like I'm not giving a knock to PJ Tucker as a player. He's a great player, but he's not out there to put points up on the board in the way that he has been. He's been hitting his threes, but come on, Tobias, you were a 20 point per game scorer in LA when you were on the Clippers. Surely you can at least give Philly 13, 14 to put up. Like, come on, man. Between you, Harden, Maxey, and Embiid, you guys got to get something together. You guys got to get something going. But whatever it is that's happening right now, or whatever happened in Game 6, I don't know. But I do know that it's not acceptable. That's the part I can't get past. Like even if you guys do magically win this Game 7 today, you not finna go up against Miami pulling that same bull. I say we because I'm not gonna lie. I'm slowly becoming a Heat fan. We gonna put that to the side. We are gonna run your pockets. You're not gonna pull it to Miami playing like that. I know you guys shoot a lot of free throws. I know you guys are great. When it comes to sound and tight defense, you guys force a few turnovers. But if you're not capitalizing and you're breaking, GG, Joe, you might as well pack it up right now. It's just really even more so even if you beat Miami at that point, you gonna go to the finals doing that? Nah, man, you guys might as well just start packing your travel bags for real. But of course, this could all be falling on deaf ears considering that Boston pulls through tonight and Tatum backs up his claim of being one of the best in the world. He defends his case of not having that killer instinct. He might just, go off tonight. He might have taken it personal. We'll see. Me personally, I have no quarrels with the way Tatum plays. Yeah, it's a playoff game. Stakes are high. Actually, I'm gonna backtrack there. I'm gonna restart there. Stakes are high. It's a second round game facing elimination. You would expect a superstar to drop 40, 50 points, have some spectacular night. But what fans fail to realize is that in the real world, not everything goes as planned. Plan A hardly ever happens at all. Plan B hardly happens at all. It's usually the plan C, D, E, Fs, and beyond that come into fruition. Yeah, players have done it, but just because they have doesn't mean it's natural. I'm trying to say, like, it shouldn't be expected. Like, we have to be able, as fans, we have to be able to differentiate our expectations from reality. So in this example, we are expecting Tatum and Brown to drop 30 plus apiece to defend, their elimination. Real life will tell you that their shots are probably not going to fall. Like I said, it's a playoff game. The intensity is raised. The defense on them particularly is intensified, is multiplied. These schemes are made or tailored just for them. This is a series of seven. It's not like Philly is playing Boston and then they're playing Atlanta and then they're playing the Warriors or then they're playing Charlotte right after. Like they don't have to keep switching it up there. After every game, they go home and they practice to come back and play this team again. So let's not act like Tatum doesn't have a lot of attention on him. Of course, they're targeting him to make sure that he's in a shooting slump. With that being said, though, he has still been producing for them. I believe he had like was it 4 boards or 5 assists or 5 boards or 4 assists at the end of that first quarter after shooting like 0 for 6 or something like that. Like yeah, a regular person would be like, oh, he's shooting 0 for 6. He's he's bumming it up right now. He's not being clutch. He's choking. Like no, bro, he's not choking. If he was 0 for 6 and didn't have those points, rebounds, steals, blocks, etc., then yeah, you could say the man choked. But in the same case of a player like Russell Westbrook, Russ can shoot 4 for 17 and still give you 10 boards and 10 assists. So can you really say he had a bad game? No, he had a bad shooting night, but he didn't have a bad game. Killer instinct isn't just scoring, and the youth are being heavily failed on that. I really need to get some people in here so I can discuss that. That's probably one of the biggest topics I can bring to you guys is how tarnished the game of basketball is for the upcoming youth. Um, but that's neither here nor there. I just don't know, man. I just don't think it's fair to make a claim about a player like that based on this series or based off of this postseason alone. Like, do people forget that he was just in the finals last year, leading the team, like leading the charge? Are people's memories that fragile now? Like, what's up with this recency bias crap that has everybody following like social trends? I just don't get it. Um, but to wrap it up today, take what you want from this about the Celtics and Sixers in Game 7 that's about to come on in a couple hours. Win or lose or draw, it's important to have fun. um, at the end of the day, Miami's going to be either of these teams, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I said that. You guys can hold me to that. I'll put money on that one right there. Miami is going to be either of these teams. Miami's going back to the finals. To the finals. Stop playing. But as I close out here, I just want to say one more thing. I actually have a task for you guys, for those who are listening right now. I just want you to take a moment of silence for the poor Warrior fans who got smacked last night. Yeah, yeah, we like that. Warriors are done. They're finished. Finito. Yeah, but Lakers got them up out of there in Game 6 last night. Had an amazing performance from a few players: LeBron, AD, D'Lo, even Schroeder, who got ejected early into the game, was clamping up really good. Um, it sucks to have been the Warriors with their, who struggled on offense. There's been a lot of talks about reimagining their core. there's been some reassurance from, their offices saying that their core is not ready to, disband. They still have some good time left. Their problem with the aging isn't as big as people make it out to seem. I believe that. People have been speculating Clay and saying that he's washed and he just hasn't been good after the injuries and stuff. Well, I mean, shoot, like I was just saying with Tatum, like people just have bad games. They have bad stretches. It happens when you have injuries. Things like that happen. Um, yeah, I really can't express that enough. How circumstances play into things. Endurance is a part of the playoffs. You have to first make it 82 games just to make it to the playoffs, and then you have to win games after that. Like endurance is a part of the challenge. Consistency, pressure. It's just a lot of things that weigh on these players that we do and don't know. Um, it's a lot of back and forth. We can talk about that all day. Like we can try to give excuses for some and passes for others, but at the end of the day, like if a player had a bad game, they had a bad game. There's no need to go and call them out their name. There's no reason to go call somebody out their name or call them trash or washed because they lost. I'm pretty sure Clay still had a good year, and I know his whole thing about throwing up the four fingers for the four rings. I mean, but he's right. The man has four rings. You can call him washed this year, but what about last year when they won? Okay. What about the other three rings they won? You can sit there and try to count them out because they had KD. It's not his fault that KD joined the team. He's just a beneficiary of it and things like that. But yeah, go ahead and give them a moment of silence when you get a chance. Whether you're at work right now or you're just chilling, eating, playing the game, or watching the game even. Just please put everything on pause. I'm just playing. You don't have to put everything on pause, but grieve for them a little bit. 'Cause I feel Warriors fans. I know they're hurting right now. I know there's a lot of Warriors fans in bed with their head under their pillow and crying about LeBron. I will be back soon. I don't know exactly what we'll talk about next. We might have a guest, but we'll see. Until then, this has been great. I am your host, Jordan. This is the Player Chatter Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this seventh episode. Peace.